because so many people are prejudiced and they're just dismissing it as if it's no big deal. That it's just the way that I've been raised. It's not a serious issue at all, but is being prejudiced a big deal? Well, if you haven't known it yet, and you're getting ready to see it here in verse 9, James clearly calls it a sin. Verse 9, if you show partiality, you are committing sin and are convicted by the law as transgressors. Now, you may be thinking, okay, so discrimination is a sin. Is it a really bad sin? Is it a really big deal? Is it a serious thing? It's not like murdering somebody. It's not like cheating on my wife or anything like that. I've not killed anybody. And so if I've got these prejudices that I was raised with, I agree it's a sin, but it's just not that big of a deal. But friends, such kind of thinking is foreign to the mind of God. He doesn't distinguish between big sins and little sins. In God's eyes, sin is a sin no matter what the sin may be. Whether it's murdering someone or lying or cheating on your wife or embracing the sin of discrimination, in God's eyes it is a sin. Or as James puts it, to break one command of God is like breaking all the commands of God. Notice verses 10 and 11. He says, for whoever keeps the whole law but fails in one point has become accountable for all of it. For he who said, do not commit adultery, also said, do not murder. If you do not commit adultery, but do murder, you have become a transgressor of the law. And so James' interpretation of the law is this. God says, don't commit adultery. He also says, don't commit murder. But if you commit murder, you might as well have committed adultery. The reason is that because both are transgressions against God and against His law, and to transgress against one is the same as if you had done the whole list. And so you need to uphold all of them. And so likewise, to transgress on the royal law of love, that is to love your neighbor as yourself, if you're not treating other people as you would want to be treated, if you're not loving other people like you want to be loved, and you're showing partiality, you're no better than an adulterer or a murderer, according to what James is saying. He is elevating the sin as a serious, serious transgression. D.L. Moody once compared God's law to a length of chains, 10 links all together, talking about the 10 Commandments. And he said, imagine these 10 links interlocked together, and a man is grabbing a hold of that chain, and he's dangling over the edge of a cliff. And he said if all 10 links were to break, the man would fall to his death. But if only one were to break, the man would fall just as far and just as fast. You see, not one law, but all of the law of God is very important. And being prejudiced is breaking God's law. It says, big of a sin as any other sin that we can commit, and we will have to answer for it according to what James is saying. Again, look at verse 10. For whoever keeps the whole law but fails in one point has become accountable for all of it. That's right. We miss one, we fail one, and we are held accountable for it all. Jesus put it this way in Matthew chapter 12, verses 36 and 37. He said, I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give an account for every careless word that they speak, for by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. We're going to have to give an account for the things that we say, as well as the things that we do. Now think about it. Christian, you have Jesus in your life, amen? You've trusted Him, you found the forgiveness of your sin, but do you realize you are still going to have to give an account for how you've lived your life? You're still going to have to stand before Jesus and give an accounting for what you have said and what you have done? So it seems. That's why James concludes with this